Hello folks, let's see, we're 4 days into February, and the storm has passed, and it is now 50 degrees outside, amazingly. It also show you that the darkest hour is before dawn, right? Like, as bad as things are, eventually you'll get to sunlight. Unless there's nuclear war, at which point I hope, it's probably gonna be a while before you see the sun again. Let's see. To Jade, where are you yelling? In language. Someone's raping some girl. Sounds like there's a pair of rapists. Like a pair of rapists up there. There. Rapier muttered. Looking towards the window. Go with his towards the window. Do you want to stay and intervene? Alan asked. The mission comes first. It's supposed to come first. There were thousands of people in peril due to the crimin. Things like this happened. Like this happened every night. Every night. Everywhere the Jade occupied. Where the Jade occupation was. The Jade occupied. The rape, theft, murder. The Jade, Jade troops didn't seem to fear reprisal from their superiors. Alan had heard of very few accounts of Jade officers arresting and executing their men for any crimes. I would imagine the crimes that most Jade officers wondered what those executed Jade men had done. What had been so beyond the pale next to common murder and rape. Beyond the pale, is that the right term? I want to go in and help, Rapier said, and looked at two of his men. Lieutenant Bob Booth and Sergeant Milu. What was his rank? Just a regular sergeant. Okay. I thought he made him a staff sergeant or something. You two with me. Rapier then looked to Ireland. With your permission, sir, Rapier said belatedly. Belatedly? That's not right. Belatedly. Gotta put the D in there. Ireland could have refused and ordered them to all get a move on. He didn't think that Rapier would launch a rebellion, but maybe he would. It was best to avoid conflict. Okay, go ahead, Alan said. I'll be behind you. Part of Ireland didn't want Ireland had to ignore terrible crimes in the past, crimes that he could have could have stopped. Those crimes were allowed to continue because intervention would have likely blown the mission. You had this when a young woman was raped, possibly murdered. That was maybe balanced out by saving the lives of dozens of resistance fighters. I'll endow the raped, possibly killed woman would have seen it that way. It is a fair trade. You can't save everyone. You can't save everyone. Ireland thought to that mission. And when they saved this, and even if they saved this woman who's being raped in the present, or probably 50 or more women being raped elsewhere. Perhaps this wasn't the first time or last time the girl in that apartment had been raped. Maybe these Jade had come here before. I'm not going to be depicting any rape itself, but just the aftermath, I suppose. Rape scenes are pretty unpleasant to write, as you might guess. I do like to challenge myself by writing difficult scenes. But usually not this kind of stuff, folks. Maybe these Jade had come here before. Might have been nightly occurrence. Ireland knew nightly occurrence. Yeah, at night they come. Frickin' vampires. Oh, I knew one young woman in the resistance. Tried to just keep her head down. I tried at first to just keep her head down during Jade. Hope I don't call him Cade by accident. Occupation of her hometown. But every night, after a pair of young Jade officers spotted her while she was at the market. They followed her home and raped her in her living room. None of her neighbors helped her. They came back the next day, raped her again. Then the same night, then later that night, they did it again. And they visited her at least once a day for weeks, till she finally had enough and fled this town and joined the underground. I don't even know if she got her rapist in the end. In real life, people often got away with terrible things like that. No consequences. And someone wronged by someone else in such a way, even in such a terrible way. Someone wronged by someone else often didn't get revenge on that person. Perhaps if karma was a thing, then those two rapists were punished. Am I stalling here, folks, to avoid any unpleasantness in the YouTube video? No, not at all. We're organically going there. And definitely in 10 minutes we'll be done with this little part of the story. Let's see. There was nobody at the front desk of the apartment building. Was it an apartment building? Townhouse. No, probably not a townhouse. I don't think that's a thing in Europe. At least not in the 40s. But, you know, this is pretty heavily alt history in all fronts. I think I mentioned someone having a chainsaw earlier. I don't think they had those for some time after World War II. But I'll have to check to be sure. Chainsaws are one of those things that I don't know what to do with, even though they have limitless potential story-wise. I think when I was little, my biggest fear was getting attacked by a maniac with a chainsaw and killed. I couldn't imagine a worse way to die than getting run through with a chainsaw and all chewed up. I don't think that happens much in real life, because chainsaws are kind of a noisy way to kill people. There was nobody at the front desk of the apartment building. Not that Rapier and his comrades came in through the front. They headed in via the back, breaking a window as quietly as possible to unlock the back door. Then they were... Back door, one word? Yep. Thank you. Past me. Then they were up at the stairs. Quiet, dark stairs. Third floor, Rapier muttered, and had his suppressed pistol out. Third floor right, I'll have to check. Wonder why it's called a townhouse. Arlen was a step behind, almost like a spectator. Yeah, there were probably only a few Jade up there. No need for a dozen commandos to storm in and light up a room. The group before some took the stairs up 3 floors, and we're and spotted the girls' room. The door to it was from the hall. The hall was open with lights on inside. Were lights on earlier? I'm so inconsistent, folks. So inconsistent. Like a difference between one page to the other. Imagine if real life was like that. It'd be like you see one person, suddenly their appearance completely changes. And the next time you see them, but it's the same person. But yeah. Or somebody says they hate something, and 10 pages later they say they love something. What would you say if you met someone like that? Oh, I love chocolate. And a few hours later they say, oh, I can't stand chocolate. Chocolate is the worst. But you said you loved chocolate. He says, well, I must have been mistaken. And he says, how can you not know if you love or hate something? Those are two most basic human emotions. Love and hate. Yeah, usually hatred comes from love. If we love something severely and then we find we don't like it anymore, then that turns to hate pretty rapidly. Like someone who's obsessed with a girl and then gets really angry when she rejects his advances. The classic stalker kind of storyline. Stalker as in regular stalker, not stalker like that crazy Chernobyl video game. Yeah, played that game pretty religiously. I think I once almost starved to death. Because I played it all day without eating anything. Jeez, that was dumb. I feel like crap if I skip breakfast. I can imagine what you feel like if you don't eat anything all day. And into the next day. Let's see, the door to lights on inside. There were sounds of ripping, struggling, a woman yelling for help as loud as she could. Jade struggling with her, or slapped her and yelled for her to shut up. The other apartments were occupied, but Libby was sticking their head out the door. Certainly nobody was going to call the police. That was good in a way. If they saw Arlen and his comrades, they'd report them. They saw Arlen and his comrades, they'd report them. They'd have to. The Jade would probably take them to the secret police HQ and beat the hell out of them. Then kill them, most likely. I don't want anyone getting killed over what Rapier wanted to do. Dominique was raped, Arlen said. As they moved for the open door. What's that got to do with anything? Rapier asked. Arlen wasn't sure himself. I suppose I'm just thinking that if she could get raped, then anyone could be. Then anyone. That's not right. That's not the right man. Could be. Arlen said. Arlen clarified. I've been my wife too. Rapier admitted. Before we were married, it was the same with Dominique. She had been raped while she was the captive of some priest years ago. Before World War III. I don't know about any other instance. He assumed Dami would have told him. The group got to the doorway, weapons raised. Arlen was a step behind, still playing the onlooker. He kept eyeballing the adjacent doors for any peeping toms. The woman was... Arlen went to the doorway after his comrades were through the threshold. The girl, The girl was young and pretty with chocolate brown hair and near matching brown eyes. Took a bit of time for Arlen to see her eyes because they were squeezed shut. The girl was naked on the living room floor of her apartment. Two Jade soldiers. Two Jade soldiers. One of them was naked and on top of her. The other was still mostly clothed, but he had his fly unzipped, and he was handling himself. He was also armed. The masturbator was also armed with a pistol, 9mm pistol in his right hand. He kept waving it in the girl's face, right? And she was oblivious to it. She was in terrible pain. She was being savagely raped. If you want to be a writer, folks, you gotta be able to handle scenes like this. Unless, of course, you're handling G-rated stuff. I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to think in my mind if I ever remembered any rape scenes in the old literature I read in high school, middle school. Was there rape in The Black Pearl? What was it called? The Pearl, John Steinbeck. She was savagely raped. Excuse me a second, folks. Being savagely raped. Is it right to end here, folks? I'm not sure. There was then Rapier approached. His suppressed pistol was raised. Hey fellas, Rapier asked. Both men looked up then, and Rapier shot both of them through their heads. Just a second. Okay, folks. Have a nice day. See you later. We'll end here, I guess. They're dead. That's a good place to end on, I think.